This week on Gymwright Live, we interview owner of Amnesty CrossFit, Rachel Harvey, to learn how she added 16 new full-paying members on contract in 7 weeks without spending a dime on advertising. Now, for all of you listening to this via podcast, be sure to check out the video version of this interview and the extensive show notes at gymwright.com. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and written review. If you'd like to watch the show live, we record every Friday in the network, which is our free private Facebook group for the motivated gym owners of the world. Join the network today and get in on the conversation. All right, back to the show. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Gymwright Live. I am your host, Marcus Gursey, and with me today we have special guest, Rachel Harvey. Rachel, it's a pleasure to have you on the show with us today. Welcome.
Thanks, Marcus. I'm so happy to be here and just honored to have this opportunity today.
Awesome. Rachel, you are a box owner based out of Oswego, New York. And you have probably what I would consider one of the coolest facilities I have ever seen for a box. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your facility?
Sure, I would love to. We are located inside of an old Catholic church. It closed down in the 90s. It has worn many hats over the years. None of them have stuck. So we got a wonderful bargain from some awesome landlords to come on into this space. And I said to my husband, I feel like it's no accident that we wound up here, because just like when a lot of people are going to church, they are looking for tools to kind of help equip them for a better quality of life. I really feel like we're doing the same thing through a different modality. So we're really honored to have this space. It's a great topic of conversation that some people come in for all on its own. We love being here.
Yeah, it is. For those of you guys watching this, check it out online. When I first saw that picture of your facility and just those huge, like the arches and the backdrop, I thought it was, I didn't think it was real. I didn't know that was really what your facility looked like. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, you actually were just in our foundations program, just wrapped up a few weeks back. And we got you on here today because I wanted to share your story. Because for one, I really enjoyed working with you. You and I worked together directly for the program, and you had just such a phenomenal shift from where you were when we started the program to where we ended up, and you got immediate results. We haven't been off the program now for more than I think a couple weeks at this point, and you have added 16 new full-paying members on contract into your community, and you have not spent a dime on advertising. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
I love it. So I want to explore that a little bit with our community today, just because we are down to our last 10 spots with the Foundations Beta program. After these last 10 spots are gone, the bonuses will go away. We have 2 bonuses included for those who join the Foundations program. I'll get into that a little bit later on in the show, but we are down to our last 10 spots. So for those of you interested, this will be a nice deep dive into how it actually translates for a gym owner like Rachel. And you can always jump in that regard. So anyway, let's get into it. So what is your story with Amnesty CrossFit?
So we have been open since May of 2017, just a year and a half. I worked as a CrossFit coach and personal trainer on and off for 5 years leading up to that point. I had taken a little break before we jumped in with having kids and all that stuff that goes on in life. I'd worked in a few different facilities, and every time I felt like there were things that could be done to help better the experience of our clients. And I just always felt frustrated that I was powerless to make the changes that I felt would serve them best. So after a lot of back and forth, I was a Spanish teacher before getting into health and fitness. I love teaching. It's in my bones. I come from a long line of teachers. It's my passion for sure. So after teaching Spanish for a little while, I was feeling very drained. And I remember just getting to that point in my life where I was kind of thinking, is this it? The whole like get up, work, pay bills and die nonsense. And it was not sitting right with me. I did not want to be caught in the dreading 80% of my life. And I didn't want to leave that example for my kids either. So I became very unhealthy while I was teaching. Lots of drinking wine while grading papers does not do the body good. And I was borderline diabetic. So I sought out a personal trainer for myself, knowing I had to make a change. And in starting that change, I became very passionate about nutrition and movement. And my poor husband, this man has been on a wild ride with me. I said to him, hey, babe, so I've got this idea. We know I love to teach. We know I'm very passionate about health and fitness as I continue to learn more. How about I quit my job as a teacher with tenure and benefits, and I go work as a personal trainer for $8 an hour instead with no benefits?
Brilliant. Let's do it.
That's basically what he said. He said, if that's what you're passionate about, I know you'll find a way to make it work. Do it. Which sometimes I wonder if he needed his head examined, but not really. I'm so thankful for his support.
High five to Rick.
Yes. Patient man. So that started off my journey in health and fitness. And over the years, I just kept feeling I had no peace about what I was doing. I always knew I wanted to do more. So long story short, the opportunity for our building came up to start our own facility. I almost said no. I have quite a bit of student loan debt, and the thought of opening not only a facility, it was not a small garage gym opportunity. This was, if we were going to do it, like all in.
Right.
And I almost let my fears control me, but I didn't. So we jumped in 2 feet. We opened May of 2017. It was a wild ride, scariest thing I had done up to that point for sure. But the payoff has been great. Up to the point of deciding to jump for foundations, we had gotten to the point where from the external point of view, we looked like we had all of the earmarks of success as far as had been open for roughly a year, had a net vicinity of 100 members. Everything is going well. And it was going well in that we've not been in trouble financially, et cetera. But we were arriving the crossroads of that point where we were not losing people as fast as they were coming in, but we were not having, we weren't growing. It was the same, stuck at 100 members for months on end. And I knew that this is the point where either I had to start making some changes and learning how to tighten up my internal systems, and really lock this down if it was going to keep growing. And because I'm a former teacher, first thing I always do is seek out resources for people that have gone before me, that know what they're doing. I have followed you, Marcus, for a very long time, with Barbell Business and now Gymwright, and you've never steered me wrong. So, I was just kind of going through this. It's really time to do something when the beta program launched. So I jumped, no questions asked. And I am so stinking glad we did, because before it was, I knew where we were headed, but I didn't have a very clear path to get there. And the foundations program just cleared an abundantly clear path to get exactly where we want to go and then some. So no regrets.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the kind words. Yeah, it was, I think you came on at just the right time.
Yes.
You acted quickly on the feelings that you were having around, okay, I'm stuck and I want to make change. I think a lot of gym owners stay in that state for a really long time, and it's really unfortunate because oftentimes by the time they get on a strategy call with me, you know, I obviously go into, you know, what's their journey been this far, where are they? I want to understand, you know, what's going on and what's working for them and not. And they've usually been at that stagnant state, and or even maybe even started to regress by the time they reach out and ask for help, because they think that, you know, I got this far, it should continue to, I'll break through at some point. But we all hit that kind of glass ceiling at some point when we've maxed out our current ability in our current systems, and you're just cycling, and you win some, you lose some, win some, lose some, and you just get stuck. And that's actually the place that most gym owners give up, is because they're like, it's just that mill. I'm making less and less because I keep trying to invest more and more time and resources into this existing system, and it doesn't spit anything out. Yep. And then it ends up leading to burnout, which we obviously want to avoid. And so in your case, you came in, you were concerned because I think you saw the writing on the wall, but you were eager and ready to get started, and we went right into it. Mm-hmm. So in starting the program, when we first began, we went through the existing business together, and we talked about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What in that part of the process stood out to you? What was your biggest takeaway from that initial session?
The initial session, the biggest takeaway is that every day you have the opportunity to either move closer to the business owner and person that you want to be, or to stay stuck where you are, or even move backwards. And right from the beginning, I know that first session, I actually sidetracked you a bit in saying, I feel like I'm not managing my time well. I'm stuck. I don't know what system to use. All I know is I feel like I'm constantly spinning my wheels. My sister and I often use the word paralyzed. I'm so overwhelmed, I'm going to go take a nap. That was kind of my mentality.
I think we all know that feeling.
Yes. So, right from the beginning, it was the wheels catching traction and starting to understand that every single day I have the opportunity to take steps closer to where I want to be. So the first picture was, where do I want to be? And the process that you walk us through, as to really starting to break this down, not only in your professional life as a gym owner, but also personally. That's huge for me. I don't want to build a life that doesn't have my husband standing right alongside me. Just that's my personal feeling. I know that's not everybody's. But the system that's in place, you allow everyone that freedom to figure out where exactly do you want to go. And then we start saying, okay, so what are the steps we're going to take towards making that a reality? And you don't feel stuck anymore. You start waking up excited. I've never been an early morning person. And I can honestly say since starting Foundations program, this wasn't even something that like you gave me as homework. I've been waking up at 3:30 in the morning, 2 to 4 days a week. The days I don't wake up at 3:30, I get up at 5. I'm genuinely excited for Mondays. I've never felt that way in my whole life. And it's all because you're getting where you want to go. And that is an exciting feeling of freedom.
Awesome. Yeah, we spent a little bit of time talking about your time management and priority management just overall between the business and your personal life so that we could get you in alignment with the activities that are going to actually move you forward. Yeah. And I think that was the big shift that I saw in you immediately, aside from just getting clear on the business working, not working, so on. It was getting you lined up with, okay, here we are now. Let's go through these vision clarification exercises and see what do we actually want this business to provide our life? Not just how do you build a successful gym? Right. It's how do I build a business that serves my life and my goals? And I think that a lot of gym owners think that there's just, I have to do what everyone else thinks is successful, and that there's some sort of like magical template to, well, how do you build a successful gym? Well, success is relevant to you, is unique to you. So we have to make sure that we find your version of success. And I think we did that in that first call. Going into the second call, when we then dug into the money mapping, I think that one was a big one for you as well. What was your biggest takeaway from that process?
So the first biggest takeaway was I had that fallacy in my head of a successful gym looks like 300 members. And I loved that you so affectionately yet strongly said, not necessarily. So let's talk about what we want these numbers to look like. You really taught me how to goal set what a successful gym looks like and what can be supported. So I remember the analogy I was used that really rung true for me was that client that comes in and says, okay, I would like to lose 60 pounds in 30 days. And we're like, well, we all know enough to know that's not in their best interest. So we would offer that explanation. And this was the business version of 60 pounds in 30 days. So teaching me how to clarify what the goal setting was, where I wanted to be, and how it was going to get there. And then the other thing that was so encouraging to me was it wasn't necessarily throw out everything you're already doing, start over from scratch, etc. And yes, there is a time and a place for that, but it was relatively small tweaks that we had to make. And those goals that I had set for myself that seemed like they were so far away are extremely close. We're already moving towards them beyond, way faster than I expected to. Which I also remember you encouraging me, like for your initial round of goal setting, don't be surprised if within a year, a lot of this is actually happening. And at first you're like, huh, really? Okay, maybe we'll see. And just in the change in 8 weeks, 10 weeks that it's been since we started working together, like we're going to get there. I have zero doubt that at 1 year, I'm going to hit every single one of those goals and possibly even surpass them a little bit.
I think you're going to surpass them.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you should be. You're doing all the right things and you're moving towards your goals aggressively. And that's how it happens. You know, it doesn't just happen on its own. It takes your willpower, your dedication to getting it done. But yeah, like you said, a lot of people think it's this enormous leap, you know, and massive shifts that have to happen. But just like you know, with an athlete, it's like, look, you're not going to come in. You don't have to come in PR every day or come in and wreck yourself every day. The point is, though, that I want you to come in and make just a little bit of progress every day towards a very specific goal. And what happens is that we very quickly start making a lot of progress. And next thing you realize, oh, wow, it's been 90 days and I've taken 90 direct steps in the direction of where I'm trying to go. And I'm almost there already. And because most people just keep going in all different directions. They do a couple steps here and then a couple steps there, and they're not actually moving forward in any way. They're really just kind of dancing around in the same spot. And for you and all the gym owners that we take through this process, it's a matter of clarifying, well, what is our path forward? What is going to actually get you to your version of success within this business, leveraging your existing resources and creating the kind of business that's going to allow you to create a business that you love, your staff loves, your community loves, a true win-win-win. And it's usually not as big of a leap as people think. We just have to make sure we're pulling the right levers.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's also a credit to you. I know by the end of the program, we would kind of joke about like, well, I think this would be a good fit for your business. Oh yeah, it's like you're getting to know me. I think that you also are very good at steering people in a direction that is a good fit for them, which is something that I want people to know is that this is not a one size fits all. It is a very personalized process. So he's a kick butt coach. I'm just saying.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So we got now, we identified what's working, what's not working. We mapped out your 1 year and 3 year goals in detail and to identify what the actual direct straight line is to your success based on all the things that you want this business to be able to provide for yourself, for your staff, and for your community at large. Mm-hmm. And now we're moving into stage 3. And stage 3 was optimizing the service suite. Mm-hmm. This is where we identified what not just your core memberships are and the price points, but what's included and positioning within that core service suite for the premium upsell, which we also identified because we always want to have something to ascend to. And we fleshed that out. We priced that out. All the policies for holds, cancellations, renewals, discounts, all that stuff. What was your biggest takeaway from that session?
It's the one phrase that is going to end up somewhere in writing in here. Less but better.
My favorite quote.
My family's probably laughing if they're listening to this because I keep using it on all of them now. But that it wasn't about having all the options to fit everyone that may walk in the door, but that having options that, number one, truly reflect the value of what you are providing. And number two, that you are equipped to handle. So being that we are a relatively new box, we technically have a staff of 8, but almost all of our staff members have full-time jobs and kids. So we're at that, like everybody's coaching a couple of classes. But as far as the majority of running the business goes, it's still yours truly. So the idea of taking on a ton of nutrition clients and personal training clients and doing boot camp and having a mobility clinic and this and that you can get caught in that trap so fast. That's the path to destruction for me. It's not for a lot of facilities that have the staff members to do that and do it well, but we're just not there yet. And learning that, number one, that's okay, that the path to success can still be written in a way that does not break us down and spread us too thin and make it so that we're ineffective at everything, but becoming super effective at those few things that you are offering. And the crazy thing is when you do less, but you do it better, then when you go to add more, you're ready for it. so that that feeling of burnout isn't there. Just the shift in mentality on even bringing on a new intro client or onboarding client, that I think sometimes that can be a very mentally draining process if you let it be. And I remember you saying to me, now remember, for these people, when they're coming in, you have the opportunity to change their life. And if you approach this session each and every time knowing that, that will forever change your mentality going into these things. And when I'm not spread too thin, then I have the mental energy to give those clients, and it becomes contagious, and we keep growing. That's the magic ticket to the 16 people that walked through the door, is every one of them felt seen and important. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I still had all the balls in the air that I was trying to get in the air before. So less but better all the way.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah. I think you just summed it all up beautifully. So once we had your service suite dialed in to where we had all the right things with all the right prices and policies to serve you and your clients and make sure we're telling one congruent story between what we're offering and what people are actually receiving and what they value most, and able to spell it out in a way to where we can very quickly look at this and it makes sense. We moved now into the first major system, which was your new member acquisition and integration system. We broke this out over 2 sessions. The first one starting with the actual sales process. So from that first touch point to someone handing you their credit card and saying, I'm in. We identified, what the best communication protocol was for you, what the best intro offer was. We scripted out that intro offer for both new people, for experienced people. What was your biggest takeaway from that particular session?
There were 2. Number one, the first one was that it doesn't have to be a hard sale process that makes you feel slimy at the end of the day. Helping me package all of that where I felt like it was a comfortable jacket that I was shrugging on that I look forward to wearing, instead of, oh, here we go again, I don't want to have to do this. And going through, and yes, you're scripting things out, etc. It gives you kind of that foundation to work off of so that you don't have that, oh crap, what do I say next feeling. But it wasn't anything that I felt like, oh gosh, I can't do this. I'm not a salesperson at heart. It doesn't sit well with me. And I think a lot of gym owners feel that way. Some don't, some do. That has been a very hard process for me to learn, in that there are ways that I can package things and the ways that I can say things that are going to increase my chance for success, but they still sit right with me. And that was a huge part of this process, was truly optimizing that system. A lot of it wasn't a massive change from what I was already doing, but just zeroing in some little things. And like one key phrase that I'm constantly smacking myself for saying all the time is the whole you pitch everything and then go, what do you think? Don't do that anymore. Just learning some simple tips, but nothing that makes me go, ooh, I don't know if I'm okay with that. Which is kind of how past sales training sometimes did go. I would say, I'm not sure that this is me. I don't know if I can do this. And that was always a conflicting side of, I know I'm a coach. I know I'm a teacher. How do I learn this other set of skills? So dialing all of that in a way that fit me, fit my philosophies, my morals, my values, was super, super important.
Love it. I remember there was a pretty big shift for you, just in your perspective on what it even meant to do sales. And you actually touched on it when we were talking about session 3, about what we're actually doing when we have someone who's reaching out to us about where they are in their life and emotionally, and what the reason that they're reaching out, and what our actual opportunity is as a box owner to permanently change this person's relationship with fitness, with nutrition, and not just make them a healthier person, but how this affects their entire life, how they are in their careers, how they show up with their families, how they show up in their communities. We have an opportunity very uniquely with what we do to make a massive shift for people when we can actually connect with them on where they are, what's important to them, and why they're really here, and being able to connect the dots between that and what we do, and then just showing them the way. It's a really feel-good process. And so many people, when we first broached this subject in the program, I can see the anxiety just rising up. And I remember you being like, oh, sales, I don't know, because most people have a bad relationship with it. But, you know, we've created a process in how we teach this now to where it is personalized around you and your personality and what is going to allow you to really excel in that position, make that impact, which is the whole reason you opened your business in the first place. You know, people are reaching out because they have a problem, and not only can we solve that problem, we can solve it 10 times over if we do our job right. And that mental framing that we put in place for you, that little exercise right before you start each session, I think that was a huge shift for you.
Yes, I could not agree more. That is probably the biggest sense of peace that I gained, was that we have a system in place that not only can I do right now, but that I can still see myself doing in 40, 50 years and sleeping like a baby at the end of the day. And that's very important to me.
Awesome. Okay, so we dialed in your initial communication protocol as well as the intro and sales process itself. And we moved then into new member onboarding and integration. I think this was also a huge one for you. Where we completely shifted what you were doing to how it was being offered. What was your experience with this module?
Oh my goodness. It was like magic. We changed everything. I hated our intro program. We had a series of 4 classes that was, come and try your first one for free. And your following 3, basically we tried to jam all of the 101 CrossFit stuff we want people to know, the barbell movements, the basic gymnastics, get them through them as quickly as possible and into regular classes. Because as I was saying before, minimal staffing, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that you had challenged me to do in the beginning, which was to start coaching less classes to make myself more available and to move to a one-on-one module. And I was very concerned about that. I was very concerned about the time on my schedule, time away from family, time away from my staff, and even my classes. You know, this is our baby that my husband and I have built together. So to take my hands off more classes, to be more available, I was nervous. But we started implementing it. I really chose to say, okay, you're going to choose how this is going to go. So if you think about it positively, it's going to be positive. If you choose to look for the negatives, that's what you're going to find. So right from the beginning, the biggest thing that I love is, number one, as the business owner, now I am the filter for everybody coming in the door. There's nobody coming in here that I don't know their name. I don't know their backstory. I now know what's important to them, why they're here, what they need help with. And I'm the first person that they're interfacing with, which I think is very important, being that it's my business. I want them to have that connection primarily with myself and eventually my husband first, because this business is an extension of us. And then from there, we're responsible for building the connection between them and the coach for whichever first class that they go through. But we've switched everything so that every session, they get 3 one-on-one sessions, and we have time to touch upon some nutrition information. What is CrossFit? What is the culture of the gym that you can expect from us day in and day out? And what we're finding is they are integrating into our community seamlessly in such a short period of time. By the time they finish one-on-one, we have rapport, we have a relationship moving forward. I know who they are. We've built some trust. They're already starting to see progress. And then we help them get into classes. I take the first class with them, which, number one, I love. I wish I could take all of the classes. That environment feeds my soul as well. So to be able to go in and participate as an athlete, number one, it's fun for me as well, which is important. And then you're just their buddy. You're there to answer questions and be supportive. You don't have the pressure of coaching during that time. Although I love watching my coaches squirm and put on their best class when I'm there too. That's always rewarding. But by the time they're attending their second and third classes, they've made friends. They are talking about their personal lives. More often than not, I'm hearing people make plans outside of the gym I'm like, geez, you just got here. This is amazing. They're convincing each other to participate in our social activities, in our educational activities, because right from the beginning, they feel like home here. So that kind of first awkward couple of months that we were experiencing with people where like, if we can just get them to stay long enough, I know they'll love it. Now they're having that experience literally right out of the gate. And more often than not, they get through the one-on-one, they try a couple of classes, and then a friend, a coworker, a family member, etc., their names are popping up in our website leads. So the momentum that we're gaining without spending a nickel on marketing, it's, yes, from a business standpoint, priceless, but to watch the changes that are happening in these people versus our old onboarding process, which was broken. It was a mess, and I felt like it was the best I could do at the time. It has been an absolute game changer for us. Game changer.
I love it. Yeah, this is where a lot of people think, oh, it's just on ramp. I just got to teach them, get them through the 9 foundational movements, or other people are on the, I need to sell them a dozen or 2 dozen personal training sessions to get them going. And not that doesn't have a place. And every onboarding protocol needs to be unique to what's going to serve you, your type of client, your bandwidth, and everything. These are all considerations when we designed yours, as well as what your strengths are as a business. But we also integrated in as part of it, we position the upsell for retail. We position the upsell for our premium service, which is critical at this stage in the relationship building process. But overall, the whole goal here is not to teach someone the movements per se, as much as it is to make sure that someone integrates into our community, understanding the real value of what we're doing here and how to maximize their likelihood of success in the program, how to make sure that they're making friends, how to make sure that attendance stays consistent. And we put several protocols in place for you beyond onboarding that go on for months and months and months to continue to make sure that we're pulling those people in and that they're going to all of our social events, that their attendance stays up, that they're getting the results, that their questions are being answered, and that they're being recognized socially amongst your tribe, so that they truly integrate. And now that you have that in place, I know we're still only a couple months into people getting into that groove, but you can already feel the difference.
100%. 100%.
Beautiful. Okay, so once we got that in place, we moved into now the second major system, and this is now your marketing system. And a lot of people think marketing and advertising are the same thing. They are not. So I want to just clarify. The marketing is your communication strategy. Advertising is paying dollars for eyeballs or dollars for leads, in which case that wasn't even a part of what we did. And so we approach it as an internal and then an external marketing, 2 different channels, if you will. And we got your entire event system. So what events you do when, what types of events you do when. We built out your entire annual calendar, from philanthropy to workshops to social events, to your content strategy internally, from newsletter to the content you're doing day to day, social media wise, all of that in place. What was your biggest takeaway from that session?
Such a big one. So as we were going through and working on all of this, every week, you asked what the biggest takeaway was. And by this point, I was like, okay, I'm anticipating this question. Like, let me think about that for a while. And I really started to think about drawing parallels between our athlete experience and how most gym owners really do understand the value of nutrition. It's the baseline, the foundation, no pun intended, of the fitness pyramid. And most of us can be found saying at some point, if you try to out-train a bad diet, you're only going to get so far. Your recovery is not going to be as good. You cannot skip over nutrition, sleep, etc., and recovery and expect to achieve the sun, moon, and stars. Those have to become as big of a priority as your time spent moving in the gym. And to me, this piece of the puzzle was what was lacking in our journey and why we had gotten to the point where we had grown as quick as we did to where we did, but where we were having trouble getting beyond that because we were overlooking the baseline level of our gym owner pyramid. And with starting to change it, number one, it's an imperfect system. This is the part that is very difficult for me because at the end of the day, I feel like my face-to-face communication with my members often takes priority over building social media content and all those things, which right from the beginning we solved with some of the time blocking and prioritizing things. And I had already started to feel a lot of that shift. But this piece of the puzzle literally takes out all of the guesswork. It tells you exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it. It's time tested and proven for you. You don't have to do any of that guesswork. And number one, the internal marketing to your members creates such a sense of time and energy that is priceless to your members. They know exactly what's going on when there's something of value for every personality, whether they want to see the facility improving or they're there for their social life or they're there because they love to learn new things. Every personality type is touched upon. And then social media, quite honestly, is a nightmare for me to keep up with. That is not in my natural wheelhouse. So to have all of the guesswork taken out of that so that when I get my 3-hour window on Fridays to sit down and do my social media, I don't have to sit there and go, oh gosh, what should I do? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even waste time with those thoughts anymore. It's jump in and get it done. So shifting around and understanding that building this part of the process is the equivalent of nutrition and sleep and recovery to an athlete, you're only going to get so far without it. And this is where so many gyms get stuck. And now you have the opportunity to get unstuck. It's just up to you whether or not you want to do it. But don't wait. Don't wait because your dreams are right on the other side of that hurdle. So just jump it already.
Yeah. The shift, I think that tends to happen in this step, which I saw for you, and this rings true for most gym owners, is that everyone gets really hung up on just, I need more members. I need more leads. It's leads. How do I get more leads? And before we worry about getting more leads, we need to work or paying for more leads through ad campaigns and so on. I always like to look at our existing member base and let's do the lock the back door effect to where what we're doing is we're reducing our attrition rate and our churn rate, because what we're going to do is we're going to now systematically create raving fans out of every type of member within our community. And they think it's like, well, why wouldn't I just get more members instead? Well, we already have this community that likes and trusts you. It is infinitely cheaper to keep those people and turn those people into raving fans than it is to just say, okay, well, you can just leave if you're unhappy. I'll just replace you with more people who are going to be unhappy. And it creates that revolving door effect. And that is what thrashes gym owners, because if they accidentally get it right or they accidentally tap into a really good or effective lead gen solution, which there's lots of good things out there, what it usually does is it just amplifies their problems. And they maybe add 50 members or 100 members over, a relatively short time, and they think my problems are solved. But then 3 to 6 months afterwards, that same acquisition rate becomes your attrition rate. So you go from losing 10, 15 people a month to 20, 25, 35 people because those people didn't integrate right either. And it is such a dangerous place. And in your case, we got all of that dialed in to where now we are going to be every month rotating through our system of addressing the different types of members that we have, delighting them, overwhelming them with value, creating ambassadors within our community, and creating that raving fan effect first internally, which, by the way, is also where the majority of our external marketing assets come from, is from within. So we need to first create that like buzzing, like glowing hot community, which, by the way, makes it more fun for us to do what we do because everyone is pumped to be there. They love this place. It's the best thing ever. That's what we all love as gym owners anyway. And not to mention, it solves the other bigger problems of retention and acquisition, because now all of a sudden your referrals start going up. And so that the people, you don't have to spend as much energy or resources on the front end or be as aggressive with advertising, because first of all, your existing community is now starting to contribute more to that lead generation with really high quality leads. And they're now coming into a system where they're going to stick and integrate into that and also become a raving fan. And we're losing less people per month. So overall, you now just start to grow more easily with more quality. And we haven't even gotten to lead generation like directly as a subject yet. Right? So I think that's an important point. People listening to this, they're like, oh, well, when do we get to the cool part? We are already in the cool part.
Yes.
The beauty is that, and I think the big takeaway from your example with Amnesty is that, I'm sure that you thought leading up to this part of it, like, oh, well, when are we going to get to like the lead gen part? Right? Just like everybody is like, well, when am I going to generate more leads? But they were already available to us before even getting to creating ad strategies.
Yes.
And we were able to use that time and energy towards other things. Right? So, shining example with you, because you, like many of the box owners out there, you already have a very good product. We just have to now make sure that we're not just providing them with a good product, but we're providing them with that experience that overall makes people feel important, feel seen, like they're a part of something that matters, and that perceived value goes through the roof. And now you go from being a kind of expensive gym membership that, well, it works, or, it's fun or whatever, to where I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. This is my second home now. That's the goal as a box owner, right?
Yeah.
And in part of this too, I kind of skipped over it in the beginning of this phase here, but we also dialed in your retail strategy, what we're selling, how we're positioning it in the beginning, how we are now systematically over the course of the year reintroducing, redirecting attention towards it, and even creating subscription versions around some of the retail products that we have. And obviously, in your case, the nutrition program, which was the slam dunk solution for you based on your skill set and your brand heroes. It was an easy win. And we were able to focus your efforts instead of having 5 different upsell options. The one that's the best fit. We priced it out and we figured out how we're going to sell it. What's the sales event? What's leading into the sales event? How are we then fulfilling that in an efficient way? What were your takeaways from that piece?
I am actually very excited because we're still in the implementation process of that. Mm-hmm. We're launching our first nutrition seminar for our members on October 20th. And one of the biggest things was building some of this into our onboarding process. And it sounds so silly. Like, I kind of want to pat myself on the head and go, oh, you were so cute before. I'm like, I'm trying really hard. We were using the products and talking about them, et cetera, et cetera. But something so simple as give them a scoop of protein after their workout on the day you talk about nutrition. Every single one of them has bought a bag of protein. Literally, every single one. Times 16, do the math. So it goes from, we've got this thing on our shelf that we know it's a great product. We know it's priced well. We've gone through all of the work to get the stuff in here. Why isn't it selling? Because they haven't tried it. So simple things like that. We don't sell a lot. We don't have a ton. We've got protein, we've got Fit Aid, and we carry Fuel for Fire. Those are very common things to find within most boxes. Mm-hmm. But creating a system where you are unrolling all of this, you are letting everybody try it, you are talking about how it's implemented for you. One of my biggest things when we opened was I felt unfit to be a box owner because I still had a lot of baby weight to lose. And I knew I'm one heck of a coach, but God forbid if they see me they see me work out before they see me coach, they're going to think I don't belong here. And I believe wholeheartedly in a lot of these products and systems that we use because it's the same stuff that I'm using to get my life together and get my life back after all of the wonderful things that babies do to you. No sarcasm there. So to have a system that unrolls that to everyone, it lets them try it, and then it's literally flying off of your shelf. We just had to increase our inventory for everything, and we haven't even had the event yet. It's just been the shift so far with onboarding, and I know that will shift again after we implement this seminar on the 20th, which everyone is so excited for. And again, it feels so good to me to have a system that integrates this into their membership. It gives them the what, and then if they want the extra accountability and the next layer how, then we're going to go ahead and upsell. But just the initial, like, what should I eat after my workout? Well, here's a scoop of protein. I want you to bring your blender bottle with you tomorrow when you come. If you don't have one, I'm working on ordering them with our branding on it. But everything becomes so seamless, and it's not forced because it's all integrated into, all these parts and pieces are integrated together. So nothing is forced, but oh my goodness, it works.
Yep. That's how it should be. A lot of people look at the whole retail and upselling thing as this, it seems to, I keep hearing about how this works for everyone else and average client value, not bodies. Like, I get it, but they can't seem to connect the dots. And we have a process in the Foundations program to address that in a way to where it just becomes a part of your process for not just the new people coming in, which obviously already directly, as you can see, that's 16 bags of protein you now sold in addition to what you're doing with existing people, let alone what happens when you start rolling out the ongoing re-exposure campaigns that we talked about that you're going to be having every quarter that are creating those additional upsell opportunities. You're still kind of getting it all up and running, but I love that you're already seeing this all come to fruition.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then we closed out the program in addressing the external marketing and content, which was your weekly content strategy, and how this all works to where you now, as a box owner, even if you're just a one-woman show, are able to have the kind of content strategy that is not just engaging, but you're showing up like someone who has an entire media team or content team with a bigger strategy in place, all by yourself within just a few hours a week. And I think that's important because so many gym owners struggle so deeply around, I know I'm supposed to do content, but what kind and when and what channel? And we identified what your medium is and your frequency is and the categories, and gave you a system. And we even mapped out your entire year worth of content from week to week, day down to the day, of how you can create these seamless themes that tell a much bigger story and create a narrative for your brand, rather than just, I'm supposed to post a social media post every day, and it's just this shot in the dark randomness. So what did you take away from that component?
I loved the pre-thought and planning out, which honestly didn't take me that long to go through and do that whole year, which sounds crazy. I would have been sitting behind my screen going like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like the idea of food prep in the beginning, where like you see the people with a week's worth of food out and you're like, they're crazy. That's not going to work for me. That would have been my perspective. But it really probably took me an hour and a half to do, maybe, because you have very clear direction on what you're filling in. If I had tried to sit down and build a year of content, I would have been there for a month on my own. So it did not take me very long to do. It was all stuff, again, that sat very well with me on what message do I want to be putting out to the community? What clients do I want to be attracting? What topics am I looking for people to relate to? And then from there, and this is still a very imperfect process for me. I have not gotten everything done the last week and a half that I would like to, but it is so much better than it was. And simple things on when you have the what, you figure it out. So like we had to do our October member of the month. We shot that at 4:18 in the morning, and I had every reason to not do it. The lighting was bad. I was exhausted. Neither of us had makeup. And it was like, we're doing it anyway. And guess what? It still got just as much of a response because it highlights her and her progress and what's important to her and how far she has come. And nobody else cares that I have bags under my eyes at 4:18. It's 4:18 in the morning, for crying out loud. That's totally fine. Yep. So that perfection or nothing, which tends to be my MO. If it's not exactly the way I want it, I usually tend to do nothing. But when you have the template there and everything is filled out for you, and it's just a matter of getting it done, some of that perfection or nothing, I'm able to set by the wayside and say, you know what? This is good enough. Something is within reason is better than nothing. And it gets you unstuck and moving forward. We can improve that. I'm sure that our member highlight videos a year from now are going to be completely different than they are today. But guess what? I got one done for October, and I hadn't for any months leading up to that. So that's a win right there.
It's a huge win. And again, a lot of people get paralyzed because they think it has to be perfect, or maybe they're trying to put a square peg in a round hole by thinking, oh, I have to write blogs, but I hate writing blogs, or and they forget you have the freedom to choose whatever medium is going to serve you best, and it does not have to be perfect. It just needs to be real. And that's what your community cares about, is that it's real content. They would much rather see it with the bags under their eyes, and you being like, hey guys, it's 4:18 in the morning, so excuse the look, but we've got an incredible story I just had to share with you. And the lighting's not great, but it's a powerful video because it's authentic. They'd rather see that than a super perfect polished video that's everything was just so and the content was blah, or they'd rather see that than nothing at all.
Yeah.
Right. Which is usually the case. Right.
Absolutely.
So good job on getting that out. And I look forward to seeing that continue to evolve as you guys refine it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Rachel, that was the program top to bottom. And I want to ask, just overall, what was your takeaway from, now that you've completed the program, you've implemented this stuff, how has this changed you as a business owner? Not just the business itself, but what has this done for you?
It has put me 100% in the driver's seat of my dreams, my aspirations. This is the part where I try not to get choked up. It takes all of the guesswork out, and it makes everything that you want possible. All of those questions that you have, all of those doubts that you're wrestling with, all of I have the vision, but I don't know how to get there. If that is you, don't wait. Sign up. This is not a sales pitch. This is from my heart to your heart. Don't wait, because your dreams matter. There are people that you are trying to reach that need you. They need your help. They need your passion. They need your skill set. And don't let your own fears, you are not too far gone. Nothing you can say or do or share with Marcus is going to shock him. No problem that you have is too great for him to not know how to fix it. And even if it's messy, he's going to get in the trenches with you and he's going to help you fix it. But don't let those doubts hold you back. And you guys, cost was a massive, massive, massive drawback for me. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. And I was scared to take on one expense that was going to be another failed attempt. And I am so glad that I chose to take the leap. Number one, the program has paid for itself. And number two, what you have to gain is so great that money is no object. It's just figure out a way to make it happen.
Wow. Thank you so much for the kind words, Rachel. I couldn't be more proud of everything that you've accomplished in just this short amount of time. You are a shining example of what it looks like when someone with passion and work ethic gets on the right path, because it is an unstoppable force that you are now moving towards your dream and your dreams of owning the gym you always wanted. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. So
it was my pleasure. Where can people find more about you?
Sure. So you can find us at amnestycrossfit.com. That's just our basic website. More of our customized content will be on our Facebook page and Instagram. It's a work in progress, but feel free to come check us out. And there's lots of pictures of the cool church facility. So
that's right. Yes, go check it out, guys. You will be jealous. I have visited, probably close to 1,000 gyms over the course of the last 10 years, with being on the road, with some of the nonprofit stuff I did in the past. And I don't think I've ever been to a facility as cool as yours. So go check it out. I'm going to come check it out. Okay, guys. So that's a wrap for the show. Rachel, I want to thank you for joining us. And I want to thank all of you motivated gym owners out there for joining us today. Again, if you're listening to this via podcast, Be sure to check out the video version of this interview along with the extensive show notes at gymwright.com. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Your support means the world to us. If you'd like to watch the show live, join the conversation every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the network. Thanks again for your support. And if you watch this and you felt like Rachel's story resonated with you, like I mentioned at the top of the show, we are down to our last 10 spots for our beta group, which includes 2 additional bonuses. You get a free video package from our partners at Monkey Reel, and you even get a free ad strategy with our very own Jessica from our marketing department here internally, and where she will actually write your custom ads for you and help you get them implemented. So if this seems like something that can help you get where you're trying to go, schedule a free strategy session with me at gymwright.com, or feel free to shoot me a message directly in Facebook, and we can get the conversation going. Thank you again for joining us this week. Now get out there and build something that matters. See you guys next week.